Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Calls. This is the 2026 Truist Initial Research Show. I seem to have figured out what was going on. If you caught the first stream that I had just a few minutes ago, but we are here for the Truist Championship taking place at Quail Hollow this week, and it is a big week as we have a double tournament week. That's right, the main event, the Truist, being played at famed Quail Hollow, and we have an alternate field event in Myrtle Beach with the Myrtle Beach Classic. So a full week of shows here at Calls. Tonight with the initial research, tomorrow the data dive for the Truist, Wednesday the DFS Tactics for the Truist, and Tuesday night the entirety, full show, research, data, and DFS for the alternate field event. So a lot going on this week. Hopefully you had a lot of success for the Cadillac Championship. What were your thoughts on Trump Doral? Did it play the way you thought? Did you have a lot of success, whether that was in the outrights or in DFS? For yours truly, I did not have the Cam Young outright, although in hindsight probably should have bet him as he was an obvious choice. I played him a lot in DFS, but DFS was amazing for yours truly. Had a lot of Adam Scott, who made a massive charge over the weekend. Played a whole lot of Matt McCarty. He was the mad scientist play this week. So that really returned on your investment. So it was a great week for yours truly in terms of DFS. Makes up for the lousy outright card. And we're going to try and keep the momentum, considering we had the Matt Fitzpatrick outright at Harbortown, and now a wildly successful DFS for the Cadillac. We're going to try and make it 3 weeks in a row for the Truist and Myrtle Beach. Going to be a little bit of a shorter show, considering I already thought I went through all this. So let's get into it, shall we? All statistics provided tonight and moving forward are from both Fantasy National and the Rabbit Hole over at BetSperts. The Rabbit Hole is acquiring or merging with Fantasy National. So make sure you go check out the Rabbit Hole. Has everything you need to make the right wagers week in and week out. Has a tournament simulator, lineup optimizer, lots of articles from a lot of other professionals and pundits around the industry. Really great art, really great site. Can't recommend it enough. Go check out the Rabbit Hole. You won't regret it. In the description of the video, there are links to all the social media. First off, my X and Instagram, where every Monday I try to post research regarding the tournament of the week. Won't do anything for the Truist and Quail Hollow, considering we've only seen this one time in its current format with the limited field no cut event, and of course last year being hosted as the PGA Championship. So only 1 year of data really in this format. No research for Quail, but I'll try to have something for Myrtle Beach since we've had it twice now. But normally, if you want to see the weekly research that I do on the PGA Tour, give me a follow at your preferred social media site. X is also where I place my weekly betting cards and top player usage of the DFS contest I play. That comes out every Wednesday after the DFS Tactics show. So if you want to see the players I've wagered with my own money, and the players I'm using most often in my lineups, give me a follow over at X. Lastly, for social media, Gabe's handle's in the description. He writes a great article called The Fringe. Really are missing out if you're not subscribed to it. It's a great way to start your week of preparation. So make sure you're subscribed over there and show him some support. Follow him over on social media. Lastly, for this intro, we are live. Chat's open. Want to hear from you. How was your Cadillac Championship? How was Doral for you? You happy that it's back on the schedule? Did it play the way you wanted? Hopefully you had all of the Cam Young, all of the Matt McCarty, played a lot of Ben Griffin, who I didn't play any of, stayed away from Colin Morikawa like I was on, Harris English, who did not play well. And then moving forward, what do you think of Quail? How much do you know of the course? Who's your early favorite? Anything and everything for the Truist. Put your thoughts and opinions in the chat. If you're not able to catch a show live, put your thoughts and opinions into the comments. I'll always get to those as well. So let's get into it. Let's do our initial research for the 2026 Truist. We're going to start normally on a Sunday night over the GCSAA tournament fact sheet. With that said, and I'm going to center this camera, my apologies. With that said, we do not have the tournament fact sheet We did not get one for Doral. We don't have one yet for Quail. So can't start there. We're going to start over at the rabbit hole and take a look at a little bit of some things that we can tonight in terms of an initial research and get us ready for the week at hand. So, a lot of big names here in the field this week and some names that aren't here. Most notably, Scotty. Scotty is not playing this week. He is the only... No, I'm sorry. Scotty and Russell Henley are the two biggest names, inside the OWGR top 10 that are not playing this week. I believe those are the only two. I could be mistaken with that. I've been out and about today, haven't seen a whole lot in terms of the field, and I myself was having some issues with the rabbit hole earlier. I must give a lot of my thanks to my contact with the rabbit hole, Ron Close, was telling me what I was doing wrong in terms of some site management and site manipulation, or however you want to consider that. But we're loaded up now. Didn't have the rabbit hole up at all today due to my error. Nothing with the rabbit hole due to my error. Just want to make that clear. Quail, if we actually take a look at the course proper, Quail has hosted the PGA Championship a couple times at least. It used to be, this tournament itself used to be called the Wells Fargo. Now the title sponsor is Truist. This is a very difficult, very long par 71. Standard par 71. 4 par 3s, 3 par 5s, measuring over 7,600 yards. Not quite as long as Doral in terms of total or raw yardage, but it's going to play long just like Doral, considering this is a par 71, not a par 72. We are in Charlotte, North Carolina. The original architect of Quail is George Cobb, with renovations from Arnold Palmer in the 80s, maybe the 90s, and then Tom Fazio most recently in 2016 in preparation for the 2017 PGA Championship. There are only 61 bunkers on the course. I say only 61 considering we had over 100 at Doral, but these bunkers are strategically placed in the landing zones of these very difficult to navigate fairways and strategically located to protect some of these greens. There are 6 holes with water in play, or water danger holes as the rabbit hole lists it. Probably most famous, the creek that meanders along the 18th, and the final 3 holes of Wells Fargo being known as the Green Mile. That is 16, 17, and 18, 506-yard par 4. You see the 3 toughest holes on the course. 506-yard par 4, 223 out of par 3, and then the very difficult 494 par 4 18th. Some other notes here about Quail. The greens, a little bit of differing facts that we're getting regarding the surface. This is base Bermuda, base Tiff Eagle Bermuda, much like we see at Kapalua. And there's a few other courses. I'm going to have to grab my notes here. We see Tiff Eagle Bermuda at Bay Hill. We see it at the RSM, Sea Island. We also see it at PGA National, host of what is now Cognizant, used to be the Honda. All of those places have Tiff Eagle Bermuda listed as their green surface type per the GCSAA. However, a lot of times the GCSAA has Poa Trivialis as an overseed in case the Bermuda is still dormant. I've seen both here at Quail. I've seen it being listed as Tiff Eagle Bermuda. I've seen it listed as Poa Trivialis overseed. So without the GCSAA tournament fact sheet, Not entirely sure which surface type we're going to want to look at. Hopefully we get the GCSAA tournament fact sheet throughout the week this week. With that said, these greens are pretty large, 6,500 square feet. The average PGA Tour green, right around 6,000 square feet, probably technically a little bit smaller than that. I'm rounding to a nice, even number, easy to understand number, but fairly large greens that are sloped, undulating, and very fast. The rabbit hole is going to list this as average at 12.5. I'm telling you now, Fantasy National would have put this as fast or even lightning. These are some very fast greens. We'll take a look at the weather starting tomorrow. There is rain in the forecast, so that might soften the course and the greens up a little bit. We'll have to see. Again, we'll start checking that out tomorrow. The rest of Quail can be described as very difficult. Long and difficult. The rough, usually kept around 4 inches. It's not necessarily penalizing to play out of. The fact that it's just long. It's just long rough to play out of. There's, unlike Doral, where you have some strategy off the tee where you can lay up and leave yourself with some longer irons in to avoid some trouble. Quail, you really don't have that. You see driver heavy. It's going to force driver into your hand the majority of the time. Even on these short par 4s, and there are a couple of shorter par 4s here at Quail. The par 4 eighth. You see an eagle 0.5% of the time. That's pretty darn high for a par 4. That means players are taking driver, trying to drive the green, maybe having some chips for eagle, and then there's a very short drivable par 4 on the back 9 as well. Yields an eagle 1% of the time or close to it. So again, very, very gettable short par 4s that it does not seem like guys are laying up on. They are throttling driver to get themselves the best score, or as close to the hole as they can. The rest of these par 4s are going to force driver into your hand, particularly the 2 extremely long par 4s that make up part of the Green Mile. You have 495, 452, 483, and you see some of these holes, 2/10, 2/10, close to 2/10, 2/10, 2/10, more than a third, almost a half a shot over par, quarter of a shot. Quail is long, brutal, and difficult on all facets of your game. So it is driver heavy. It says easy to gain strokes off the tee. That's because off the tee favors length, and you've got to hit driver. The prototypical player that plays well here is Rory. Rory is very long, elite with the driver. You have to be long. You have to be pretty darn straight too. So don't make the mistake that off the tee is no joke here, or excuse me, that off the tee is a breeze here. It's no joke. It is very difficult off the tee, and players are able to separate themselves off the tee here, as you can see with Scotty winning the PGA here last year. Gaining 4 shots, 1 shot per round basically to the field, was inside the top 10 easily in terms of off the tee. Look at the who's who on this leaderboard in terms of off the tee. Bryson finishing second, massive bomber. Marco Pinge, massive bomber. Xander moves it off the tee. Taylor Pendrith, Thorbjornsen, long, accurate. Berger maybe a little bit of a slight outlier here, but was very good off the tee at the PGA last year. Gerard, Scotty, John Rahm, even Matt McNeely to a little bit lesser of an extent. Guys can move it off the tee. Those are the guys that are having the most success around here. Rory, gaining 6.12, led the field at the 2024 Wells Fargo at Quail. You see number 1 and number 2 off the tee, Rory, Xander. But again, you have Pendrith, Knapp moving it off the tee, Burns moving it off the tee. Siwoo is long enough, not the longest, but long enough. Been on, moving it off the tee. Bombers, Wyndham Clark winning the year before Rory. Massive length off the tee. So that is going to be one of the keys this week in terms of Quail. It is difficult to hit these fairways. Again, I'm going off memory here, and a lot of this information I get from Gabe's article, but I believe the average fairway width is about 32 yards wide, and they're going to play smaller than that because you have a lot of tilt in these fairways. So very difficult to hit these fairways. The rough penalty is low. I don't know about that. The rough's just long to play out of. Difficult to gain strokes off, approach. These greens are multi-tiered. They are very fast, usually pretty darn firm. Just not easy. Not easy to gain strokes, especially since, or it's not easy on approach, especially since a lot of your approach shots are coming from mid to long irons, 175 plus. Greens, difficult to hit. Around the green, average. Sand saves is average. Rough is average, or scrambling from the rough, scrambling from the short grass. It's just the fact that you're going to have to rely on your around the green game so much. That's what makes it difficult around here. But the actual act of around the green seems to be maybe a little bit lighter in terms of difficulty. Putting is very difficult here. Difficult inside 15 feet, outside 15 feet. 3 putts happen. The par 5s are your best scoring opportunities, naturally, per almost every PGA course. Third of a shot under par, quarter of a shot under par, 4/10 of a shot under par, and then a third of a shot under par. And then your only other 2 holes that play under par are the short par 4s. So, good mix of par 4s here. The par 3s, very difficult. It plays right at par. Only 167, but plays right at par. The par 3 fourth. And then 249, 208, and 223. Long, difficult par 3s here at Quail. So with that, we'll go through a few of these metrics early on for the week, to give us a gauge on who we might want to maybe look at in terms of odds or early thoughts for DFS. Again, not going to go through a whole lot tonight, especially without the GCSA tournament fact sheet. Hopefully that'll be out tomorrow. First thing we're going to look at, it's this, like Doral, and obviously has hosted major championships. This is a very long, very difficult course, much like the majority of majors are. So with that in mind, your top performers in the field this week on very long and very difficult golf courses. I usually keep the long and difficult as well. Rory, who has been immaculate here over his career, loves Quail Hollow. Harris English, who I was really, really high on for Doral, did not play particularly well. This is still probably a decent spot for Harris English. Tommy, Matt McNeely, Xander, Keegan, Harry Hall, Bobby Mack, Sam Burns, and Ludwig are your top 10 in terms of total performance on these major championship style courses. Very long and very difficult. If we remove those filters, let's take a look at let's do 2025. That's fine. We'll take a look at signature events. Let's see who's played the best in signature events in the field this week at Quail Hollow for the Truist. Rory, Colin Morikawa, Tommy, Patrick Cantlay has played very well in signature events going back to the beginning of last year. Sepp Straka, Hideki, Matt McNeely, Ludwig, Ryan Fox, Kurt Kitayama. Let's see. Anything else we want to take a look at in terms of just big time, big picture view, I should say? And not really. We'll take a look at weather starting tomorrow. We looked at long. We looked at difficult. So with that, let's go off the tee. This is going to be one of the most important shot types this week, I believe. Off the tee and approach. Big ball striking course. Quail Hollow. Not to say that around the green and putting won't be important. They will. But I firmly believe this is a ball striker's course, particularly off the tee. So, if we take a look at some driving metrics just early on in 2026, just straight up off the tee, Cameron Young, Bobby Mack, Chris Goddard, Rory, Matt Fitzpatrick, Siwoo, Xander, Gary Woodland, Minwoo Lee, Ryo Itsatsune. We'll take a look at this in a couple of different ways. I won't expand the time frame. Let's do off the tee on driver heavy golf courses. This is obviously driver heavy. Top performers off the tee and on driver heavy courses when driver's forced into your hand. Pearson Coody, Chris Goddard, Taylor Pendrith, Rory, Cameron Young, Xander, Ludwig, Nikolai Højgaard, Aldrich Potgieter, Daniel Berger. Okay. We'll also take a look off the tee, on these major championship style courses. I think that makes some sense too. Rory, Chris Goddard, Xander, Bobby Mack, Pendrith, Ludwig, Cam Young, Christopher Rayton, Keegan Bradley, Jake Knapp. And we're definitely going to be looking at driving distance. You could argue to look at carry distance, but I do believe that the course is going to be firm. It's the way it normally plays. And just going off, prior knowledge here without going through the Pro Visualizer hole-by-hole thing here, you have some forced carry, but it's really just grip and rip driver and see how far you can hit it. So I do think players like Chris Goddard won't be at a severe disadvantage, considering a lot of times he's not the highest in terms of carry distance. He hits those low stinging type drivers. Your top driver distance players in 2026 in the field this week at the Truist: Potgieter, Goddard, Jake Knapp, Gary Woodland, Nikolai Højgaard, Rory, Minwoo Lee, Adam Scott, Kurt Kitayama, Cameron Young. We'll go to approach. Your top iron players. Let's narrow this into the last 24 rounds. Your top iron players in the field this week at the Truist: Colin Morikawa, Xander, Adam Scott, Akshay Bhatia, Justin Rose, JJ Spawn, Ludwig, Jordan Spieth, Cameron Young, and Sepp Straka. Do note the Cadillac is not in here yet in terms of data in the rabbit hole. They'll have that tomorrow. So this might change a little bit, particularly Colin, who didn't play very well this week. Adam Scott, who played amazing over the weekend, was really pretty poor Thursday and Friday. Rose played horrible this week. Cameron Young obviously playing great. So this might change a little bit, but it gives you a good idea you're heading into the week. We'll look at proximity. We're just going to look at 200 plus tonight until the rabbit hole updates and gives us, some more information regarding Quail Hollow. Like if we were to look at, say, Augusta, we get, some more data in these past courses. And Augusta's not even the best example. Let's go to like Bay Hill. Bay Hill, we get all of the, off the tee, the approach, around the green, putting, scoring, get the average approach ranges. This is going to be a lot like Bay Hill in that regard. Lots of long irons into these challenging greens. So, just in terms of 200 plus, and yeah, let's go ahead and do all rounds for 2026. Top 200 plus players: Keegan, Sudarshan, Ludwig, Adam Scott, Hideki, Siwoo, Chandler Blanchard, Jake Knapp, Ryan Fox, Colin Morikawa are your top 10 200 plus. We might look at 152 to 200 depending on what the course fact page comes up with tomorrow, but I think 200 plus is a good starting point. We'll look at it a little bit of around the green. Go 24 rounds here. Tony Finau, Rory, Cantlay, Fitz, Nick Taylor, Jason Day, Ben Griffin, Sung Jae, Ludwig, and Harry Hall. We'll look at putting. And let's just take a look at who's been putting well this year until we get the GCSA tournament fact sheet and we can confirm whether it's Tiff Eagle Bermuda or if it has the Poa Trivialis overseed. Let's just take a look at putting. Bridgman, Burns, Bobby Mack, Harris English, Akshay Bhatia, Jake Knapp, Jason Day, Ricky, Matt McNeely, and Sudarshan. And then we'll do scoring. Nope. I want on these major championship style courses your top bogey avoiders: Rory, Ricky, Tommy Fleetwood, Harry Hall, Daniel Berger, Connors, Bobby Mack, Sam Burns, Xander, and J-Day are your top 10 in terms of bogey avoidance on these major championship style courses. So, like I said, tomorrow, hopefully we'll have some more information on Quail. Hopefully the GCSA tournament fact sheet will be out, and we can glean some more information on how Quail is set up this week. Bring us back to 2026. A little bit of an abbreviated show. My apologies. I was not... I was having some errors on my end with the rabbit hole. So, I had to get those straightened out. Again, thanks to Ron for telling me what was going on. So, much appreciated there. Thanks for tuning in, watching, listening, supporting the channel, for liking the videos, commenting, subscribing. Always appreciated. Love what I do. Taking a very in-depth look at golf statistics, giving you a statistician and data analyst view of what he sees, trying to help us all win a little bit of money in the process. Like what we have done the past couple of weeks with the outright on Matt Fitz at RBC Heritage, and the amazing success we had with DFS. I had a lineup that finished 7th in a 20 max entry GPP. So it was a great weekend all around. Kind of ruining the fact that I didn't bet Cameron Young, but DFS more than made up for that. So we are on, I don't want to call it a heater, but we've had 2 outstanding weeks in a row. We're going to try to make it 3 for a double tournament week this week. So, like I said in the intro, I'll say it again now. Tonight, the initial research show for the Truist. Tomorrow's the data dive show for the Truist. Wednesday will be the DFS Tactics show for the Truist. And then Tuesday night, we're going to have all 3-in-1, research, data, and DFS for the alternate field event in Myrtle Beach. So, you want to stick around and make sure you tune in for that, particularly in terms of outrights, because there's a lot of value to be had in alternate field events. So thanks again for all the support, much appreciated. For all of the wagers you made this past week at the Cadillac Championship, for all of the DFS contests you played this past week at the Cadillac Championship, and until I see you tomorrow night for the Data Dive show, may all your bets be profitable.